Welcome back to another episode of Nerd Tweet and a Movie Podcast. I am your host, Nerdpool Prime. Thank you so much for joining me today. This is going to come a little bit later than normal. I did not get this done beforehand like I normally do. It's normally scheduled to release at a certain time on Sunday mornings, but alas, I did not get it there this week. So, here we are. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to talk about a character who just recently debuted in the MCU, Maya Lopez, otherwise known as Echo. And I will, at the end, have to do a whole bunch of thank yous to a lot of people because my podcast is over a year old now. And looking back on what I've accomplished and who I've interviewed and the connections I've made and everything, I felt necessary that I give them all, or at least as many as I could think of, a special thank you at the end of the episode. But, that being said, if you're listening to this now, you like Marvel content, you like nerdy stuff, anything you like, I probably will talk about at one point or another. Go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, comment, share, tell your friends, do whatever you have to do, because the more followers and the more subscribers I get, the better guests and things I can bring to you. So, please do me a favor and help me out a little bit. That all being said, the obligatory messages out the way, let's dive right in to who is Maya Lopez. So in the comics, Maya Lopez is a Native American of the Cheyenne Nation and is born deaf. She first appeared in Daredevil number 9 from the second volume as Echo in May of 1999. As it stands at this current juncture, it appears the MCU is going to follow the same path. We don't know what tribe of Native American the character in the MCU is, so we're going to go ahead for this episode at least assume that it is Cheyenne and it will be seamlessly adapted from the comics. Now, in the comics, she was initially placed in special education classes before having the ability to recreate a song from a recital, which we'll get more on that a little bit later when we talk about her powers, which got her put in the gifted classes. Now, it appears the MCU is doing something similar. In this episode, we got to see her as a child, and according to the book in the scene, when she's a child in the classroom, she's in the second grade class, but if you look around, she looks a lot smaller than the other students in the class, so kind of alluding to the fact that she might be smarter and have above average intelligence, so that's why she's there. She also took up the mantle of Ronin in the comics as well, and was revealed to be the character in New Avengers number 11 in September of 2005. Now, I am going to pause here to talk about something directly from the MCU Hawkeye show. The person who is running the Tracksuit Mafia, who as of now has been referred to as Uncle. So, in the comics, Kingpin is the head of the Tracksuit Mafia and the person who orders the killing of Maya's father, later tricking her into believing that Daredevil was the one who killed her father. Then used her as a weapon in his never-ending war to destroy Daredevil. When we see her in the dojo, a mysterious man in a tailored black suit walks up to her, rubs her cheek, and chuckles. Now, besides the obvious comic book parallels, there have been numerous rumors of Vincent D'Onofrio reprising his role as Kingpin, and in this episode, it definitely shows that that might be the case. Vincent D'Onofrio, if you didn't know, is the one who played it iconically in the Daredevil live-action Netflix show, which is still to this day some of the best Marvel content, even though it's technically not MCU. This episode, like I said, confirms a lot of these rumors, in my opinion, provided that Marvel isn't just doing a bait and switch and messing with us and it not being. But that laugh definitely sounded like D'Onofrio. So, and also on that rumor front, from my sources, I've heard that they're saying that Kingpin will show up in the show, as well as being in a full fat suit and wearing an all-white tailored suit. And the quote I heard was, "It will make the fans of the characters from the comics weep in joy." Okay, so let's be on the lookout for that. Okay, back to Maya. The scene depicting her father's death followed the comics very well by having him having her father reach out and leaving a bloody handprint on her face, which we saw in this week's episode of Hawkeye. Now, in the comics, after the murder of her father, she was taken in by the Kingpin, who was impressed by her natural talents and abilities and sent her to the best schools money could buy. She was very focused on art, dancing, and things of that nature. Now, in the comics, she has the similar ability to Taskmaster, as she has a photographic reflex and reflexes, and it gives her the ability to mimic others' movements. Now, in the MCU, Taskmaster gains this ability through technology in her heads-up display. Maybe they did this to make it so Echo is the only character who has this power naturally in the MCU. Also, in the comics, as I mentioned earlier, the character first appeared as an adversary and love interest for Daredevil. Since the MCU doesn't really have a Matt Murdock at this moment, technically, it seems that the story is being adapted with Kingpin substituting Daredevil for Ronin. While the Netflix shows were Marvel content, it is not part of the main MCU. I believe the shows we see can be considered an alternate universe where certain events like the quote-unquote event mentioned in Daredevil still happened. Like in the comics, the 616 timeline is considered the main timeline, while there's all these other ones going on at the same time as well. And I believe, based off what we saw in Loki with the TVA film time strip of Loki's life as the approved timeline, and it said 616 on it, I think that's what they're going with here. That 616 is the symbolized number attributed to the actual timeline or the main Prime timeline. Echo has had a major push in the comics as of late. The character was a focal point in the Phoenix saga this year, where pretty much all the Marvel characters got the Phoenix power, like Wolverine, Namor, just to name a few. She also now has a new ongoing series, Phoenix Song Echo. Now, this is no surprise to me. I think the character just screams a marketing dream scenario. A powerful minority woman who has a disability fighting against and alongside of the Avengers. That follows Marvel's representation stance. Kevin Feige and other ranking members of Marvel and Disney have stated over and over again that they want to be they want to have representation for everyone in the MCU. They want you to be able to look up at the screen and feel some type of connection to at least one of those characters. Thankfully, for the most part, they have kept their word on that. You see movies like The Eternal with a wide range of cultures portrayed, also you with Kamala Khan and Maya Lopez being cast as they should be as both Muslim and Native American actresses respectively. Now, that being said, I also have to say, I really don't care how this is about to come across, but my question is, then can you tell me why the role of Moon Knight was not given to a Jewish actor? Think about it. How bad would the outrage or backlash would have been if, say, Kamala Khan was cast as someone who is Native American, who just looked the part? Or someone who, or maybe Maya Lopez being cast as someone who is not Native American descent. So why am I being frowned at and told to just get over it when arguably the only major Jewish hero has been cast as someone who quote-unquote looks Jewish or who has played Jewish characters before? So I guess for Jewish people, we have to settle for close enough, right? Now just think about it for a second. Why do they get to pick and choose which people they're representing? You want to represent everyone, then why wasn't Moon Knight cast to play by a Jewish actor? Don't get me wrong, Oscar Isaac is a fantastic actor, and I'm sure he is going to knock it out the park. And the character will still be Jewish, I hope. So I will get the quote-unquote representation that people say I should settle for. Just think about it for a second, though. Like what I said, what if Black Panther wasn't a black actor? What if Shang-Chi was not someone of Asian descent? Those are questions that I'm asking when I try to figure out why the Jewish people got put to the side here. And then, like I said, when I bring it up, I get told, oh, well, he's played a Jewish character before. Oh, well, his last name's Isaac. Isn't he Jewish? No, he's not. He's not. Sorry. But I'm wrong. So I feel like I had to say that. So I also now am going to feel also obligated to use this opportunity to once again scream from the rooftops, hashtag make Wolverine short again. Because short people, especially short men, are so often shrugged off and immediately becoming a joke character on the big and small screen. Marvel now has this unique opportunity to have a short character on their roster who would go a long way to help representing short, especially short men, short people in general, but short men specifically in a positive light. Now, obviously, I'm getting very passionate about the Jewish and the short angles because that's me. I'm short, but I am a different breed. You know, I'm not one who is afraid of being short. I've done stand-up comedy. My opening bit is about how I have to jump off a stool if I go to a bar. It doesn't bother me as it would many people. But if you have a short Wolverine, you give the short kids, especially short young boys, a character to look up to. Wolverine in the comics was created to fight this monster called the Hulk, if you don't know. I mean, if you don't know, now you know. The Hulk is like 8 feet tall. And this little short 5'3" dude was specifically created to fight him. His height is not a hindrance, as it shouldn't be to most people. Sure, you might have some limitations. You're not a superhero with adamantium claws and healing factor. But as someone who is short and who has lived it with it his entire life, you don't have to let it stop you from doing what you want to do. And Marvel can do a lot to help that very same scenario be told to kids for generations to come. Now, I understand asking for a 5'3" Wolverine might be out of the question, but granted, they can de-age Samuel L. Jackson and guy from Ant-Man, but they can't make an actor shorter. I mean, it doesn't have to be a short person. You want to cast a tall actor? CGI him short. Again, it's about the representation on the screen. I wouldn't like that, but it would get the point across at least. And if you want I did a whole episode about making Wolverine short again. I have a full listing of cast choices, and I guarantee you my number one pick would absolutely shock you. Now, I do apologize for that rant there. Like I said, I didn't really care how it comes across. I had to say it because it has been bothering me, and I just wish everyone could put themselves in my shoes and realize why I'm so passionate about it. I mean, I am a short Jewish man. So right now, I'm watching a non-Jewish actor play a Jewish character, and I've watched a 6'4" man play a 5'3" character for my entire life. It's time for a change. You guys want to talk about how you want representation? Here's your chance. Hashtag make Wolverine short again. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then I'm going to come back with my year one thank yous. Stay tuned. Welcome back. So as I said, my Whittle Baby podcast is a year old, and I'm so happy. I really do appreciate every single person who's ever listened to even one episode. I have been trucking along real hard here for over a year now, and this is just the beginning. I am nowhere near done. But I do have a lot of people that I want to thank. So I have had quite a few people join me on my podcast. If you're listening to this audio, you may not have seen a lot of these interviews because as of right now, I'm slacking so hard. And they're only available on YouTube at this moment. But I'm going to give you a list. If you like any of the ones that you hear, you have not heard them because you only listen to the audio version, go check out my YouTube page, same exact name, Nerds Who Win in a Movie Podcast. You can find it there. So first, shout out to my very first guest of all time, Darnell Lewis of Advanced Genetics. It's an indie comic. It's basically X-Men if it was R-rated and was kind of like The Boys. I mean, it's a really amazing book. Issue 1 came out through Kickstarter. Issue 2 is on the way, and I'm going to officially announce that there will be a Nerd to Ween Comics exclusive cover for Advanced Genetics Issue 2. First time I've actually announced this. I've been working with Darnell Lewis for a long time, one of my good friends, and he has graciously accepted to let me get a variant, a exclusive variant, only available through his Kickstarter, which will be launching soon, and me. So, thank you, Darnell. Oh, you were my first ever guest, so you definitely will always hold a place deep in my nerdy soul. I can't express how much it means to me for you to give faith in me and let me do an interview with you. Also, of course, my next guest was Jason Douglas, who is a now Ringo-nominated writer and creator of the indie Source Point Press title Parallel. One of my good friends. He will be coming back on the show very soon for his victory lap, per se. Parallel has sold out everywhere. Even the the Baltimore Comic-Con exclusive. He was selling his personal ones this week because you can't find them anywhere but on eBay for crazy prices. Jason is one of my good friends and looking forward to his future endeavors. Stay tuned. You're going to want to definitely be looking out for Jason Douglas and Source Point Press coming very soon. Then I have Jorge Zevallos, who was the creator of Wallbreaker Comics, another indie comic. David Green, creator of Captivating Light comic. Doug Wagner, creator of the Plastic Image comic, as well as Vinyl. One of my favorite interviews I've ever done. He is just a great person, great creator. Looking forward to see what he does in the future as well. Joseph Reed, a.k.a. Old Man Venom, who's an exclusive comic cover creator, as well as Ario Anindito, who is a comic artist, does covers for Boom, including his work with Eve, and he is currently the comic book artist working on Star Wars The High Republic. And he also is one of the few people that I know that's actually drawn Wolverine in a Marvel comic, and he agrees they need to hashtag make Wolverine short again. And then you got Javan Jordan, a.k.a. the Illuminati. If you don't know who he is, you're not a comic collector like many of us are. He is one of the biggest and upcoming stars in the cover game. This year, he definitely should win all the awards for Best Cover Artist of the Year. He absolutely knocked out the park with all his Department of Truth and other covers as well. And then I have to send a huge shout out to Darsan Solomon. He was actually Dave on the hit show Community. So one of my favorite shows of all time. This podcast actually was initially supposed to be half nerd, half community. But I definitely got away from the community aspect of it a little bit, which I'm working on trying to get back in. So I do apologize for that. And then some of my dear friends, Comixkings, who has their own channel as well. Go follow them. It's Comix Kings. Key Hero Comics, a great exclusive retailer, good friend. 1 month later podcast. They all came on, a few of them came on and did a Loki breakdown with me. Hard to come by. Jeff, he's a great seller, knowledgeable, super nerd and friend. I interviewed Chansler from Whatnot Comics, which sparked a amazing turn as a comic book seller now as well. So thank you for that, Chansler. You gave me a shot when you didn't have many people who were trying to get shots from you at that time. Now Whatnot Comics has blown up, and it's crazy right now. And then one of my dearest friends, Noah, from Noah's Amazing Reviews. I can't express enough how much I love you as a friend. You have done some things this year that make my achievements look like nothing. And that's not a shot, that's a hail you. You inspire me to work harder because you are what I believe, and I've said this many times, that you're the physical representation of what us nerds feel inside. And you are just so good for this community, and I cannot wait to see what you accomplish. And because what you have accomplished already is just out of this world. And then finally, Duffy Boys Comics, my friend Duffy, he has been an inspiration, a mentor, a friend, a whipping post at times. He is just such a great guy, and I cannot believe when I started watching him on Instagram lives selling regular comics, and now he has his first exclusive. He has more exclusives on the way that are going to blow like the top off the game. And just to be there for this ride, I feel like me, Duffy, and Noah, we've been watching each other so closely, and we formed this little brotherhood of people who just love the other's work. And I can't express enough how both Duffy and Noah just inspire me to work harder and inspire me to be what they see me as. They see me as what I want to be one day already. And I can't thank you enough. And finally, when it comes to non-family members, well, I might as well be a brother from another mother, but Bravo Collections, you, my friend, were one of my very first supporters. I will never, and I mean never, forget your words of encouragement from the very start. And here we are a year later, and I just can't even... I'm really trying to sum up the words to express my gratitude. I still have your first note. I bought a couple comics for you, and you sent me the comics with this note. It's on my wall. I'm looking at it right now. I framed it. If I, no matter how much of a success or how much of a failure I will be, that will always be on my wall as a memory of someone who believed in me, who had no reason to other than what they've seen. Thank you for all your support. I mean, through this podcast, I've been able to become a better version of myself, similar to the one that everyone has always told me that they saw in me. I'm not one to pat myself on the back or even acknowledge any of my achievements, but today I can. This first year has been one hell of a journey, and I cannot wait until you all see what's just around the corner and what I have in the works for the future. It honestly just may blow you away. Now, I also have to send a huge thank you to my family. I have not said their names on the podcast, but their aliases have been mentioned. Big Guy, Red Leader, and Dungeon Master, thank you. Your love and support you've all given me over the years, even when I definitely didn't deserve it. It truly means the world to me. And I want you to know that all of my achievements, present, past, and future, are all thanks to you. And I couldn't do it without you. And I know I don't express it very well normally, but I do appreciate everything. And finally, I want to dedicate this episode to my late grandmother. She passed last year. She was always one who believed in me, always believed that I would achieve something mind-blowing. She always thought that I would be like something special, something great. And I know all grandparents are like that. Their grandkids can do no wrong. But she always thought far more than that. She looked at me and saw something I still to this day don't know if I was ever worthy of. But I'm finally beginning to see what everyone, including my family and friends, have told me. And I hope I've made you proud. And honestly, this is just the beginning because I'm just getting warmed up. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Until next time, this is Nerdpool Prime, signing off.